From the ADL.
Certainly. Thank you, Congressman. I completely agree with you. There are two things that we need from our leaders. One, we need what they say, and when they dehumanize and demonize refugees or Muslims or anybody else from a marginalized community, that's a problem. And the other is policies, what they do. And when you have anti-Muslim bans and anti-immigration and refugee stuff, this gives embrace and emboldens white supremacists. I am not saying that they are white supremacists. I am saying that this is celebrated and emboldened. So you are absolutely right.
Thank you, Ms. Patterson.
As I said earlier, I come here in peace, and I think I only see 2 members of the GOP here. Is that correct? Right at this moment?
Make a statement, please.
Pardon? No, but this is important. I think the point you raised is very important. I was delighted to hear that the Congress has come out against white supremacy and white nationalism. But one thing that troubles me and friends of mine is that you don't seem to say anything when President Trump says these provocative things that we think embolden white supremacists and white nationalists. And I understand the political dynamics, but we would love to see Republicans stand up and say, Mr. Trump, what you're saying is not helpful. It harms people of color. It harms Muslims. And so I would just call upon you, not in an adversary way, but in a genuine way, if you find things that he's saying are negative, that you would say something.
Well, we would like that as well.
Quote him accurately, too.
Time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Stubbe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would love to see my Democratic colleagues condemn anti-Semitism. I have a resolution that I have filed. One of their own members of their own caucus have said very racist anti-Semitic remarks and have failed to directly address that. So to your point, I would love to see the other side of the aisle condemn one of their own for their own anti-Semitic remarks. I would like to take my time to yield to Ms. Owens. If there's anything that's been said, I'm the last Republican here, so if there's anything that you would like to respond to, I'd like to give you the balance of my time to do that.
Yes, I actually wanted to respond to Congressman Cicilline because he was making references to me, and I thought that was a bit cowardly. He said he was dishonest when he said that the president refused to condemn white nationalism. Mr. Plotz just literally gave the exact quote, the president doing just that. He does not want to accept the reality that the president has under multiple occasions condemned white supremacy and white nationalism, and the best condemnation of that is in the president helping the black community every single day with his policies. He also brought up family separation. This seems to only be an issue for illegals at the border, and nobody ever wants to talk about black babies being separated from the womb of black mothers. So if he actually cared about that, he would be embracing me. And lastly, he brought up the rhetoric of the president as in the same breath that he referred to me as despicable. I'm tired of hearing the left refer to people as despicable, as deplorable. We are Americans and we are patriots. And even if we disagree with you, name calling should not be something that is done, especially in these chambers.
Thank you, Mrs. Owens. Mr. Klein, is there anything that you would like to respond to that's been said? I will give you the remainder of my time.
Jews, there's no problems with that issue, when in fact there's a dozen or more imams in states around the country who have publicly made sermons calling to murder Jews. This is a hadith that's related to the Quran, that's considered very holy. The leaders of the Muslim world from Al-Azhar University have made vile statements against Jewish people, and we really need to have Muslims step up and do what President Sisi says, and there has to be a reformation and a rethinking of the aspects of the Quran that promote hatred against Jews. That's why you have constant murder of Jews in Israel, despite the fact that Israel has offered a state to the Palestinian Authority 4 times in the last 20 years. So this is, to me, one of the most serious issues as to why are half the world's Muslims anti-Semitic, why are 75 to 95% of the Muslims in the Middle East anti-Semitic, why are 1/3 of Muslims in America anti-Semitic, which is 2 to 5 times the rate of anti-Semitism of any other group. This has to be explored, but people are afraid to, because then they're called an Islamophobe. And this has nothing to do with Islamophobia. This has to do with the truth, with data that ADL themselves has put forth, surveys have put forth. Pew has also put forth similar data. Why is this an issue? We have to talk about this Muslim anti-Semitism because this is endangering Jews really in America and throughout the world. God forbid this will be translated into physical violence even greater than we're seeing today.
Thank you, Mr. Klein.